everyone. Welcome to the Learn With Me live stream. My name is Ashley Goldstein. I'm a developer advocate for NVIDIA Omniverse. And I stream, well, I have not been, but I will again stream twice a week on Monday and Wednesdays at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time. And this live stream is a way that I have found to be the best platform for teaching parts of Omniverse that either I'm not very familiar with or that I want you to be familiar with. And the best thing about this stream specifically is I am very interactive with the chat because I want you guys to be able to ask questions or help me along the way if I'm learning something new and you have some ideas of how to move me forward if I get stuck or documentation that I might not be aware of. It's just a way to see how you would dive into developing using Omniverse and using OpenUSD. So with that said, this is my first live stream. It's not of this year. No. I streamed back in February, but I haven't in quite some time because I was getting ready for GTC. And I think this is my first time streaming to X. And on that, I can't interact directly with X like through the chat, but if I see a question, I will highlight something and then answer it if I can. Otherwise, I wanted to share with everyone the resource that I have open here behind me. This is a documentation that, like a little doc that I've created, and I share at the top of all of my streams so that any link I show or any announcement that I talk about, it's kind of just like kept in this document. It makes it easier for you guys to be able to find this if you're watching this later, and so that I don't have to spam the chat with like a million different links. So I'm gonna copy that and paste it into the chat, and you guys can follow along if you want before I jump into what I'm going to be talking about today. So in this resource document, I have basically like all of the essentials on the first page. These don't change very often. It's something that I think that like you should always be aware of, except I did add the GTC announcements. So if you did not watch, did that post as a link in the chat? I have no idea. Let me know if you can't click the link in the chat and I'll figure out a better way to post it. But the GTC announcements, if you did not watch the keynote and you want, like in case you missed it, recap, on our forums, I posted, or Edmar posted this, and I linked it here where you can just get all of the rundown for all of the major Omniverse announcements, not all of the GTC announcements, but all of the Omniverse announcements specifically. And also there is the getting started page, and then of course the calendar. So if you're new to the Omniverse community, this calendar, you can add it to your own calendar so that you can get it, get updates when things like my stream, my Learn With Me stream, the Omniverse community live streams, which happen on Wednesday after mine, and when Eric starts up his live streams again as well. Same with Isaac Sim Team. So this is just a good way to get notified of new community events that are happening in Omniverse. So make sure you add that to your calendar. I have all of the documentation. Maddie made 6 crucial tips for NVIDIA Omniverse developers that I think is super important. So you should watch that if you're new as well. And then at the second page, I have like all the reference links. So today I'm going to be talking about a message bus system. So when I was at GTC, and the reason I wasn't live streaming is because I was getting ready for this 3D product configurator course. And in that product configurator course, there was a message bus system using Omniverse and using OpenUSD Variants. So that's what I'm going to be showing today. What kind of just like a snippet of what I did in that course. And so I linked a Stack Overflow that I found like early on, like what is a message queue versus a message bus. It's a 12-year-old post, but Stack Overflow always comes in handy. And basically the difference between the message queue and a message bus is kind of like an array versus a stack. So like the message bus would be an array. You can grab things out of that bus whenever you need it. And a message queue would be like a stack. It's like first in, first out. So you have like a stack of plates. Your queue goes at the top. You have to take from the last one that you put in. So we're going to be using a message bus system to do custom events. And I'll show you how to do that today. But I wanted to link it just in case you didn't know what the difference was. Also, there's a modified guide on what I did at GTC. So if you follow this link here, this one, it brings you, where is it? Oh, I guess I don't have it open. It'll bring you here. It's just a modified guide of like what I showed. We're working on getting the actual step-by-step content onto the Deep Learning Institute platform, which I'll show in a second. But if you're curious of the configurator sample and then like a quick tutorial on how it was put together, then you can go here and download those. It's not a step-by-step, so it doesn't teach you how to actually make it, but it gives you an overview of how it was put together. So it's still really useful, and it gives you all the sample content that we used in that course. And then when it gets published to DLI or the Deep Learning Institute, it's going to be in that last link, and it's going to be under self-paced courses. It should automatically bring you there when you click that link. And it'll probably be under graphics and simulation. It's not there yet, but when it is, during one of my live streams, I will make sure to announce it. And it'll be exactly what I taught at GTC, just the step-by-step, so you do it on your own as a self-paced version. Okay, I think that's it for all of my housekeeping stuff. Cool. Let's go ahead and minimize that. Let's make my face smaller because we want to see Omniverse. Throw myself in the corner. All right, so I'm going to be using USD Composer 2023.2.5. It was released last week, or not last week, 2 weeks ago during GTC. And the reason that I'm using this one and not the previous version of Omniverse or USD Composer is because there is an extension that has been included with this release that we need to use when we're creating the message bus system. So I'll show that, but I just wanted to make sure that that was said. I'm using USD Composer 2023.2.5. It's the latest release of USD Composer, which is our reference application. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is just like, I need to create some variants in order to make this message bus even work. And that's going to be in an action graph. So USD variants are a part of the USD framework. And to make a variant, we could just have anything that we need variations on, whether that's like a mesh or a material, whatever. So let's go ahead and do it on a material because I think it's much prettier. I'm going to create this cube. And let's go to the materials tab. Omniverse. Can you see that? Let's see. There we go. I need to make sure y'all can see Omniverse because OBS doesn't want to fit all of Omniverse in there. I want to make sure we can see when I do extensions. I'm going to get rid of my banner. You guys know you're watching Learn With Me with Ashley Goldstein. You don't need that there. Unfortunately, I can't make Omniverse like any bigger. So if you have trouble reading the text, I will try my best to read what I'm pointing at if you can't read it. But I think that should be good. You should be able to see most of it. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and drag. Let's do this pretty metallic material. It's Car Paint Metallic 05. I just threw that on the cube. It's loading. It needs some time to cache. And then once that finishes loading, we will create a variant for it. And so we'll have a few different colors rather than just the green metallic that I'm picking. And while I wait for that, I'm going to open up the variant presenter tool. So variant presenter just is going to show you all the variants that are in your scene. So if you were to have a very large scene with lots of different variants in it, it's much easier to like just use the variant presenter to find all those variants. And that is at the top. You go to tools, you go to variants, and you click variant presenter, and it docks all the way here on the right. So if you don't see anything, that's where it went. Where you see stage, layer, render settings, it's all the way over here. Okay. Ooh, that metallic is very mirrory, but pretty enough. So as you can see in my variant presenter, I don't have any variants right now. Let's go ahead and create a variant for the cube material. So I'm going to go to the car paint material, and I'm going to find the shader. So when you drag and drop a material from the material library, it goes into a looks folder. And then we have the material, the MDL, which has all of its like material and shader properties. But if we need to actually edit the shader itself, because that's where like the base color is, all of the other shader properties, like this one has clear coat and flakes and all that good stuff. So we want to actually create a variant of this. So I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to go to edit variants. And it opens up the variant editor. Hopefully this is readable for you all. And I need to create a new variant set before I create a new variant. So this new variant set, let's change it to, we'll call this color set, color_set. And it automatically created a new variant already. And if we go into variant presenter, now we see we have a variant set there. So that wasn't there before, now it's there. And let's create a new variant of the shader. So this is, you have to, even though like if you see I'm on variant set prim location, it's like under the shader. But when we create the variant, we have to make sure that we are creating it on the shader again. So that's really important. Click select. Cool, Zia and Glenn are here. Hey everyone. All my regulars. Sirens, Ordinary Alan, and some new faces. That's awesome. Is anyone watching that met me at GTC and didn't know about this stream before? I feel like I was really good at promoting myself at GTC. Okay, so I added the prim. I'm making sure I'm targeting that shader, and I'm going to add the properties. So these are where all of the shader properties are. If I was just targeting the car paint metallic 05 and not the shader, I would not get this like base color property. So that's like why I'm doing that one specifically. Can I explain again why the last part is important? Yes, Zia, I can. So again, when I created this variant set, I set the location to be the shader, but when I create a variant under the set and I click add prim, it doesn't automatically go where the prim location is, even though I created it under that. You have to make sure that you're selecting the shader when you add the prim. So you can't select this one. You shouldn't select the cube. Even though the materials bind to the cube, we want to edit the shader directly. So we would click select for the shader. And then that gives us the ability to target the properties specifically in the shader, and we want to target the base color. We could do anything else if we wanted to. We can create variants on any property that is available to us, but just for the sake of making this simple, since we only have 45 minutes, we'll do base color. And we are going to, this base color is setting it to white. It should automatically set it to, oh, because look at that. See, look. I was like, why is my base color white, but my color is green. And that's because this is using a clear coat. Get my face out of the way. Just move Omniverse open or this way. I'll make my face really small. Okay. So the base color is white, but the clear coat color tint is the green color. So actually, I'm going to not use the base color because I want to edit the tint. So that's because this is a metallic color. If I was to do something that was like not metallic, like one of these other card paint, like card paint 03 or 02, I would target the base color, but no. So clear coat color tint for this one specifically if you're using that one. And now I have the green. So I want to leave like my first one as is, just, you know, arbitrary preference. And I'll call this green. Gross. It changed my, I hate when it does this. This is a weird little bug that I found and that I reported already. Do you see how when I change the color set, when I change this, it like is now all of the properties. It removed my color picker. I don't know why it does that. Oh, it did it again. Let's see if I can flip it back. Nope. Okay, that's annoying. Hold on. Let's restart Omniverse. Let's save this. I think this will fix it. I'm gonna just save this to some downloads, and we'll call this "Learn with Me" message. All right, restart Omniverse. I did save it. Oh, it's still saving. Where'd it go? Wow, I love live streaming. Not everything always works. Where is it? What? Where'd it go? It's not saving. That is bizarre. Don't save for some reason. Bring Omniverse back up. Sorry, you're getting me staring at a black screen. Maybe make my face a little bit bigger so something's visible. Oh, look, white screen. That's USD Composer. All right, maybe we'll switch to a material that I know works, which is the one that I used in the GTC workshop. I want to do something different. Okay. Are we back? We're back. Okay. Retry. Let's get my variant presenter back up. Let's create, oh, okay. I accidentally clicked capsule, but whatever, works just the same. Materials. All right, for GTC workshop, I used Card Paint 02. It doesn't matter which one. I'm just gonna stick with that one. And we're gonna go back. Let's go back into the shader. Edit the variant of it, create a new variant set. Let's call it color set again. It's now in my variant presenter. Let's change the name before we add the property. Let's call this, was it red? The default one is red. And go target the shader. Select, add property. This one is the base color, as you can see in the, well, you can't see because my face is in the way. There we go. So you can see in the base color here is red. It's not a clear coat tint color. Okay. You see that? Fingers crossed this bug does not happen again. Let's now duplicate this. So I'm going to duplicate it because I just want to keep using that same target prim, same target property, and I'm just going to be editing the color picker box. So instead of just doing all those steps again, I can just duplicate variant. As you noticed or may have not noticed, it did not automatically select the one that I duplicated, which is red_1. So I have to click it and the bug is there again. That is annoying. But it doesn't do it to this one. Let's just create some. All right. I might not be able to use color. For some reason, this bug won't leave me alone. Can I add base color again? And I don't even see property. Where did it's like it even did it here in the property panel and I can't edit it. But this one is the same. I'm gonna try something else. I'm gonna remove this. I'm gonna delete the variant set. And I'm gonna do it under the capsule. And we'll just, so the prim location is the capsule. I'm just gonna keep variant set the same. Add prim. Now I'm gonna go target the shader. Nope, see, that's why, yeah. Oh, that's annoying. All right. What can I do instead of the, maybe I create my own property, my own MDL? If I create a material from scratch, do I get the error? I'm gonna try that now. I think this is a bug in 2023.2.5. I might have to go back down a version, and the message bus still works. I just have to like manually add the extension if it's not there already, and that's annoying. But my whole goal for today is to show you guys the message bus system, but I need a variant in order to do so. Let's create our own material. Create material. Let's create an Omni PBR. And we'll make it red. And we'll slap that onto that guy there. Now let's edit the variant. This one is using albedo color, which I guess base color. Yep. Okay. I'm going to go over this in more detail on Wednesday. This, if you see, I have this yellow L. That's strength ordering. So right now it's saying my local opinion, which is the material that I set, is overriding my variant options. I'll explain that in more detail. It's called liver peas. I don't want to go into much detail today. We'll talk about it on Wednesday. But yeah, okay, so let's duplicate this. Okay, yep. It must be something with those materials specifically. But as you can see, the bug is not affecting my material that I made, my custom material, my custom Omni PBR. So let's call this one red. Let's call this one green. And what color did I make this? Pink. All right. So these are really important because I'm going to be using the message bus system to change these variants using that custom message. So that's why I wanted to create these variants. But I also wanted to show this, which is super cool. So in my actual USD, in my USDA, like, which is the readable format of USD, these variants are in there. So I wanted to show that because that's super important, because now any other USD application that can read USD files is going to recognize that there's variants on this prim, not just in Omniverse, but however you're using USD. And that is really important because you're not always going to be using Omniverse to edit your USD files or to read your USD files. So I'm going to go into my layer, and in my layer, I have the ability to edit the layer. When I edit this, it's going to bring up VS Code and it's going to show me my USD in a readable format. So let's get VS Code up here. I think I need to there we go. Okay, let me make this bigger. So you should be able to see this now. So when I clicked edit from the layer in Omniverse, I can read my USD. You see it's this, I didn't save the stage, so it's just some weird name that Omniverse gave it, and it's a USDA, and that means it's a readable format. It's not compressed, it's not in a bunch of weird symbols and ones and zeros. It's readable, and this is what it looks like. So I have my default prim, which is my world. So if you see that in Omniverse, and let's move this out of the way, go to my stage, see my default prim is world. So that matches, so we know we're reading it. And then I go down to inside of my default prim, I'm storing my capsule, and that is that mesh I created, and it does have a variant. My variant set, which I did not name, I kept as the default name, variant set, has these properties within the variant, and then I change the shader. Here we are. So yes, it's recognizing the variant set is within the capsule. Oh, that was the one that I didn't do anything on, actually. Scratch that. That was that one that I was testing. But the variant set that I created for my material is in my shader. So I find my material, my Omni PBR. It has a variant set. And within that variant set, it has the actual properties for how the color is changed. So all I did was change the color 3 float, right? So this is really important when you are reading your USD for other applications. Sound quality is bad. So captions, you do get captions after this live stream ends. That's a good thing to note. Captions happen after the live stream. I don't know why you can't rewind. I'm not sure where, oh, you're watching on X. I don't know too much about X. If you switch over to YouTube, you definitely can rewind. So I would try that. This is my first time streaming to X, so sorry about that. I'm not sure why the sound quality is bad. Let me know if the sound quality is bad. If you're watching on Twitch or YouTube, I can switch microphones. Sound is good on YouTube? Okay, cool. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm so sorry if X is not working out for you. You can switch to YouTube or Twitch. Yeah. Okay. Let me now go back to VS Code. So solid variant set. I'm going to change this because now I have 2 called variant set. I'm actually going to delete. I'm going to delete the capsule one. So let's go to edit variant and let's delete it because I don't want two things called variant set. I could just go and rename this, which I will. Let's rename this color set like I wanted. Okay, the bug didn't happen again. I was like holding my breath to make sure the bug didn't happen again. Ooh, this is a good one. Do material variants work with instancing? I don't see why they wouldn't, but let's go ahead and create the message bus event. And then once we get that working, let's test it with instancing. I'm sure we'll have time. All right, I'm going to X out of there. And now I need to create the message bus event. Before I do that, though, I need to enable that messaging system. And that is going to be through an extension. So in our reference application, we have our window and we go down to extensions. And this is the extension manager. So if you're not familiar with Omniverse, extensions are basically how you build an Omniverse application. So we have all of these different tabs here. If you were to build your own application, then you would enable which extension you want for your application. That's why we have USD Composer as like a reference. So it gives you an idea of like what you can have in it. And we're going to be enabling the live stream messaging extension. It has a really long name. So I just type in live stream and I go to omni.kit.livestream.messaging. Super long name. But as you can see, it parses messages as JSON to push to the message bus system. So this just enables that functionality. Without it, the message bus nodes and action graph are not going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and enable this and X out of it. Now I'm going to create a new action graph. Action graph, if you are familiar with any kind of visual scripting language, like Blueprints or Blender's geometry nodes, it works very similar to that, where it's a compiled Python scripts in very layman terms into like a node, and then you use noodles to connect that logic together. So I'll show you that. And I'm going to create one in the stage. So I'm going to right click in my stage and I'm going to go to create, and I'm going to go down to visual scripting, and I'm going to click action graph. And my action graph shows up here in my stage. It will also show up in my USD as well. And that's the great thing about using action graph, is that it actually lives inside the USDA that I showed. And here at the bottom, my action graph opened. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes you have to like go to Window, Visual Scripting, Action Graph, and then you would edit the action graph that you want to edit. And I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. I can change to a visual scripting layout. There we go. So now you should be able to read this, hopefully. Okay. Let's start by doing what we want to do. We want to set the variant using this message bus. So the first thing we'll want to grab is the variant selection or set variant selection node. So in this like left side, I type in set variant selection, and I just drag and drop, and I get this node called set variant selection. So this is not the message bus yet, but this is what the message bus is going to be doing. So I'll edit these properties so that when I create the message bus, this is already done. And in this set variant selection, it has a few different inputs. It has our prim, our variant set name, and our variant name, and the ability to set the variant or not. It's a bool. So we need to add our target prim. That is our shader. So I'm going to go and find that Omni PBR, and I'm going to click that shader. Now, in my variant set name, in the drop-down box, I will have, and I don't have, where is it? Maybe it's just in the Omni PBR. There it is. Okay, that's odd. So even though we created the variant set under the shader, it's being stored under the Omni PBR prim. That's probably my fault. I'm going to go to my variant presenter. Oh yeah, okay. That's because that's where I put it. If you put it in your shader, it would be there. It would be wherever you put it, right? That makes sense. And now I have my variant set name. It matches, right? That's the one I want. And I can have a variant name, green, pink, red. So if I go to my viewport, well, I guess it wouldn't happen because the message bus is not happening, but let's select pink. We'll be editing this with the message bus, so it doesn't matter for now. And then we want to set variant to true. So when this is executed by the message bus, it's going to set the variant, right? So that needs to be checked. Now I can create that message bus. So I'm going to go back over to my nodes and I'm going to type in message. And I have on message bus event. I'm going to drag and drop that. And it's not ready yet. I can have an event name, which I'll call set color. And I'm going to uncheck only simulate on play. Now, the reason I want to uncheck this is because we don't want this to rely on the play button being called. Say, and this is what we do in the GTC workshop that's going to be published to DLI, is that it's streaming to a web application. So we don't want someone to have to go into Omniverse and press the play button. We just want to stream the viewport to our web application. And every time something happens in this message bus, it doesn't rely on the simulation plane. It's just relying on the viewport being visible. So we're going to make sure that we uncheck only simulate on play. So it's not relied on that. And then we need to add an attribute so that we are setting the variant selection, right? So we have our event name. Devin, who I did the workshop with, he used a really great analogy for this. Was like, this is an envelope, the event name, and then inside our envelope, it's going to have the message that set variant selection is going to read. So we're going to add an attribute on the property for this message bus node. And it's going to be called, let's call it colors. And it's going to be a token. Now, this is important because you're not going to select a token array. We're only using a regular token. And now I have my outputs is colors. My event name is set color. And I have my set variant selection. And I need to have my message bus send the colors to the variant name. So I could manually do all this, right? But I want it to rely on this here. So I'm going to go ahead and attach it to variant name. That's my noodle that I was talking about. And then I need to make sure I connect received to exec in. You can also tell that, see how this is like a triangle and this is a triangle? That means they connect to each other. See how this is pink and this is pink? This is looking for a token. This is outputting a token. So that's why we needed to match, right? Okay, so I have a message bus. Now I need to tell it to do something on an event. To make sure this is working, I can do that here just in Omniverse by using send message bus event. So I have my send message bus event from my node library. And I'm just going to do the exact same thing that I did with my on message bus event. I give it the event name. I want my event name to be the exact same thing. My send message bus is going to be yelling out set color for on message bus to here. So I'm just going to copy this to make sure I'm getting the casing exactly right. And I'm going to do the same attribute. My colors attribute, which was a token, not an array token. And it's going to assign a variant name. So we could just do this manually. Let's find constant token, and let's do green. And we can change this manually. This is just to check. Okay, still not done yet because we need to have this happen on an event. It could be like on a trigger. It could be when you press a keyboard event on your actual keyboard. So that's probably the easiest thing to do as a developer, is for debugging, just have it on a keyboard event. So in our node library, I type in keyboard. On keyboard input, I have pressed, not is pressed. Pressed is going to connect to our send message bus event, the exec in. See how there are two triangles? They connect to each other. And I'm going to change it to the letter J, and that's what we did at GTC. The reason that we do that, it's arbitrary. It's just because there's no other hotkey in the USD Composer reference application that is connected to the letter J, so it's not going to interfere with anything. You can set it to whatever you want if you were to do this. And again, I'm going to uncheck only simulate on play. Okay. I forgot to connect my constant token with my colors. So make sure these noodles are connected. All right. Before we test it, let's review. We have our send message bus. It has our event name. It is yelling out set color. The message bus is going to listen for set color. And in our send message bus, it's receiving the constant token green. That is going to be thrown into our output here. So it's receiving that envelope. Inside that envelope, it'll say green, and it will throw that into our set variant selection. So this should change to green when I press the letter J. God willing, let's, fingers crossed, press the letter J and it works. And it did. Yay! You never know with live streaming. Sometimes things break and make you out to be a liar, but it worked. Okay, so it's green, or whatever color that was, like a yellowish green. Now I can change it to red manually. Press J, and it changes to red, or pink. And when I press J, it changes to pink. So that is the message bus system. Now, remember, that needs to be enabled in your extensions. So if you missed this part, or if you can't rewind if you're on X, is live stream. Whoop, it's in the general. It's this one here. If you don't have that enabled, then it's not going to work inside of Omniverse. Very important if you are building a web application that is going to be streaming the Omniverse viewport into your application, is that you have this feature enabled. Cool. And then this is just a test. You don't need that. You could have that done all in the web application. So in your web application, you have these messages sending. It would be set up in a very similar way. You have a function called set color. On set color, it outputs your variant name. It needs to match whatever variant name is in your variant set. So if I was to like do yellow, right? I don't have a yellow variant, so it's not going to work. I press J. Nothing happened. It doesn't know. There's no such thing as yellow. It only knows what we know. And so it just sets it to no variant selected. Cool. The message bus is part of the Omniverse Cloud, or GDN? Yes. So at GTC, the Omniverse Cloud APIs were announced. We are moving toward publishing those over some time, and that will be this will be really important for that, because if you're using those cloud APIs or you're using the graphics delivery network or GDN to stream your application, then you need to make sure these things are enabled in using your APIs or using GDN. Those are long-term solutions. I just wanted to show it for now because I think it's really cool. It's one of the most fun things I think I have gotten to work with and help use in Omniverse. So it was something I could not talk about since like October. And I was like, I need to share this. What time is it? We got time. Let's do the instancing thing. So does this work on instancing? I have no idea. It should, but you know, let's check it out. So let's go ahead and I guess we would instance our capsule, right? Instanceable. What a hard word to say. Okay, so I checked to make it an instance. I mean, it should still. Do we make this an instance? Let's make this an instance as well. And let's switch to pink. Okay, no, it didn't. It does not want to do that. Curious. I wonder, I guess because it can't read it. And since it's an instance property, what if we make the shader an instance? Let's do red. Okay, so if the shader is an instance, then it still works. But if the Omni PBR, if the material that the shader is, or the material that the shader is reading, then it doesn't work. And I'm guessing that's because when you make something an instance, whatever properties are nested below it are inaccessible. They are not readable. So the shader itself would need to be instance. That's a nice little experiment. But my capsule can be instance as well. So let's just duplicate this, move it. Create red. Do they both change? They both change. If I were to duplicate this, and I have two Omni PBRs. Let's edit this one. And let's call this color set 01. And let's duplicate this selection and retarget to our new Omni PBR. Set it to a 1. We'll call this one set color 01. Duplicate that. We'll just have two different message buses happening. And we'll have them both happen on J. And this is yelling out set color 01, right? Yep. And we'll have this one be green. They're both red now, right? Yep, green. And we'll have this one pink. It's just for fun. I know it's going to work. Oh, they both set to pink. Wait. Oh, look at that. Interesting. It didn't work. So color set 01, set color 01, it received green. Oh, wait. Never mind, that's my fault. Is this the capsule one? They're using the same. Never mind, it did work. I just had the original one binded to capsule 01. Let's switch. Okay. So just when you duplicate it, make sure you add the material to it. Okay. So on Wednesday, I'm going to be talking about these variants again, but I'm going to be talking about strength ordering. I briefly touched on it when you saw that little L for local opinion. I'm going to talk about strength ordering, why strength ordering is important, and something that me and my colleagues experienced early on when using OpenUSD variants and trying to do that in Omniverse. This this little, it's not like a bug, but you can break it and it can be very confusing on how to fix it. And it was just like a really common thing. And I wanted to make sure that it's touched upon, because if you're working with OpenUSD, there is a strength ordering system, and it's going to be in OpenUSD no matter where you're editing your file. If you're using Maya, Unity, Unreal Engine, Adobe, any of those are going to be using in the strength ordering. So I'm going to talk about that on Wednesday. I think that's really it. That's all I have for you guys. Again, thank you all for watching. It's been so great to meet so many people at GTC that are like, hey, I've watched your live streams. They've helped me do X, Y, and Z. Sometimes when you're just live streaming, you feel like you're like monologuing, but I come into the chat and I see you guys interacting with me, and then I get to go to GTC and I interact with people that I've interacted with chat only and see you guys in person, and it's just really awesome. So I appreciate you all, and I'll see you all on Wednesday when we talk about liver peas and strength ordering. All right, bye everyone.